Hi, welcome back. No doubt you are now super excited to hear what is happening next. We've finally got to the moment we've been waiting for. My husband to have his visa to move to the USA. There is lots that we need to sort out now. Now, my husband finally has his visa, so we can finally start planning again. It really does feel that we're almost starting the process all over again. And even when we heard the news that his visa was on its way, I really had to kind of think about, oh, okay, so what do we need to do now? Just because the move has not really gone as planned at all, and we started elements of the move, but then had to stop and pause for a bit and then restart. Now, we're currently in January 2021. I think most of us want to forget 2020 right now. Currently, we're planning to move in the next 2 months, so that would be around mid-March. However, that really does depend on availability, so we need to start the talks with the shipping company, understand their availability to collect our remaining things, also things like temporary accommodation, but currently at the moment we're planning for about 2 months from now. In terms of the shipping, we will need all of our air freight that we kept with us collected, in addition to all the things that we kept with us that need to go via sea. We also had some things that we took out of storage, like this sofa, our bed. So there's a few things that they need to collect again, but not as much as the first time at least. Next week, I will meet my mobility person again. This person oversees the entire move. So she helps with checking that I've got my visa okay, the relocation, in terms of the destination that I'm going to, sorting out the logistics around the shipping. Now, the current conundrum that we have is that my office isn't actually open and everyone is currently working remotely. This has meant that I do not necessarily have to move near the office anymore, and I have the option essentially to move anywhere in the USA now. The main point is that I need to be on the same time zone as them, and they've been quite flexible with where I move. And this has been quite a hard decision because we actually really love California, and where we were going was where we wanted to go anyway. But there are lots of things to consider, so I didn't want to just go with the fact that, we'd set our mind on going to the South Bay area, let's just stick to that. Over the Christmas period, we really did think about, okay, well, now we can go anywhere. Where would we like to go? And we started looking at other places in California that we really liked. As an example, Santa Cruz, which isn't too far away from the South Bay area, which would also mean when the office is open, it would be somewhat commutable. I think it's about an hour and a half to 2 hours, which in the UK is not uncommon to do. We also looked at Santa Barbara, San Diego, and a few other places. We really did find, though, that the cost of rental wasn't any different. And a lot of these places we don't know as well. So although we think we like it, we haven't been there enough to know. We also looked into other states and we did some searches on where people recommend living in the USA, depending on your requirements, of course. And we looked into Austin, Texas, and also Las Vegas, Nevada. Now, with Las Vegas, Las Vegas, it's not Las Vegas, I don't think that's how they pronounce it. The reason we've considered that is because my company have an office there. Some of my employees are working there too, and it was recommended to me essentially. And we thought, well, we've been there a lot. I've actually stayed in Las Vegas a couple of times for a couple of months at a time. So it is somewhere that I recognize and I feel comfortable with, just not somewhere that I had considered ever living in before. Now, Vegas is turning out to be a real contender, so I would say at this moment in time, it does look like we are going to go for Vegas. And the reason being, the main reason being, because of the cost of living is so much cheaper there. We did some calculations and we work out that we can really make some savings by moving there over California. And we also figure it's our first year in the US. We can still visit lots of places and truly figure out where we think we want to relocate to. So if we do end up deciding actually California is the place for us, we can use that first year to visit, pick somewhere, and my company is more than happy for me to relocate to California at a later date if I want to. Once we make a final decision on where we are going, I do plan to do a video explaining that rationale in a bit more detail. So let's say I do pick Vegas, I will break it down as to why we ended up picking Vegas, the pros and cons, and what on balance made us make that decision. Right, so what are we doing with this place? Some of you may not be aware of our situation, but when we initially started the move, we had our home and we had agreed to let that out to a family. But then that all came to a halt with the original lockdown. But when the lockdown was over, we agreed to continue with that let. And then we moved into an Airbnb, which was extremely expensive. So we made the decision at that point to find somewhere to purchase this place that we would stay in for the unforeseeable future, because we really didn't know at that point how long we would be in the UK. And the intent at that time was to let it out. With the intent to move in the next 2 months, we put the place up for let 2 evenings ago, and we had a let agreed the following morning. We really did have an overwhelming response to the apartment. I don't think I even really thought about how quickly it would go. People obviously loved the apartment as much as we do. If you're interested in seeing the apartment, we have recently uploaded an apartment tour for you to see. Once we make our final decision on where we intend to move, the mobility person will then get us in contact again with the destination person. So depending on where you pick, you have a local destination person. This person will help us find our temporary accommodation, but also our long-term place. In terms of other things that we need to sort out, we do have our car to consider. I have my car that I need to get rid of before we leave. My husband did have his car at the beginning of last year, but we sold that during the year. And with our move to this location, we really didn't need 2 cars anymore. So our lives have worked perfectly with 1 car. On the upside, we do not have any more house clearance to do like we did last time. So that's one of the great things. This time we're in a much better stage to kind of move out now. We do, however, have lots of alcohol and a fair amount of snacks to make our way through in the next 2 months. Right, so that's it. Hopefully in the next videos, we can actually start showing some progress towards the move, finally. And hopefully, by the next video, we will know where we are intending to move. So we will confirm that in the next video. Now, although we're saying that we're planning the move in the next 2 months, around mid-March of 2021, the one thing that 2020 has taught me is that nothing is for certain. So yes, we are planning the move, but who knows? We may move, we may not. Thanks for watching. Please do subscribe and hit that like button. There is a lot more content coming, I promise. And please comment below with what you guys have thought about our journey so far.